Hey guys, and welcome to my live stream. Oof, lots of sun. I cannot do very much about the sun, but well, welcome to my first live stream in about 2 months, give or take. So as you can tell, a lot has changed, so I'm just going to give you a quick update as to what happened. About 2 or 3 weeks ago, Windows had an update, and that update was not working properly. So I went to go and try and uninstall the update. Instead of just uninstalling the update, I had to essentially reset my entire computer. So my original layouts, my original everything kind of had to get restarted. Because I still have them in the folder, I just didn't have the applications. Like, I was able to save all of my personal files, but I was not able to apply them just yet because I had to find all of the softwares again. I ended up changing streaming softwares just so it'd be easier. Sorry about all the sun. Like, I have a fan in the window, and there's going to be background noise because there's a birthday party going on just next door, I believe. So that's another thing. But no, overall, I I guess the reset was a blessing in disguise because I was able to find like a layout like this that I like that I'm probably going to build off of. Like the background, if you guys have been around for a while, is my original background for live streaming. So I was able to find that and keep that, which is great. It's just the whole thing of kind of having to restart and find hopefully be able to get everything in place and everything set up the way I want it to, so that way I can actually stream and do what I love, which is talk about books. Now, if you've noticed in the title it says then and now, what is different? So I actually have 5. I went into my old booktube videos. Now, I have not recorded any videos for my YouTube channel in about, I want to say a year, but I think it's been about 2 years. But these videos I found were book tags and challenges that I did 3 to 4 years ago. So we are going to be watching them. Very quick thing. My hair is very different. So is just me from then and now because I've lost a lot of weight. I've changed lifestyles. I've moved. A lot has changed. Like, behind me right now is both my dog and my cat. And if you asked anyone who knows me, me owning a cat was not ever a plan. Like, I love cats, but for a while I was allergic to them. So just could not, justify. Well, at the time I couldn't justify getting a cat because I was allergic. But now, the first book tag we're going to be looking at is an old one called Creatures of the Night book tag. I am going to apologize. When I used to make actual YouTube videos, I did not know what volume correction was. I also apparently did not know how to speak loud when I was recording my videos. And I also did not know how to angle my camera or set up lighting properly so I didn't look bigger than I actually was. Sorry, my dog just dropped one of her toys and I'm trying to figure out which one she dropped. Alrighty, so what I'm going to be doing is we're going to be watching these videos. I don't have a choice. I need to cover this window. That's better. Still a bit of the sunlight showing, but not terrible. Much better. Okay, so the first, as I said, the first one we are going to be watching is the Creatures of the Night book tag. We're not going to be watching it till the end because I had this fascination with either my intro or my end card being annoyingly loud. So, let's get into the video, shall we? I sound like I'm recording a YouTube video. No, let's get into watching this video. Just give me 2 seconds to set this up because it's not an easy thing to set up. Oh, if this will let me do it. Wow, wrong thing. Hello Mendix. Welcome to the stream. I'm currently setting up to watch videos. Thanks, it was something I found in the Streamlabs files. I'm going to be building off of this. Okay, so that's set up. Great. Hey guys, it's Tiffany of Tough Angel Books, and for this week's video I'm going to be doing the Creatures of the Night tag, which was created by Katie Tastic. I will leave the link to her original video down below, and because Halloween is on Monday, I thought it would be the perfect time to do this tag. So let's get started, shall we? There are 10 categories in this tag, and all of them have a corresponding book to go with them. I had an issue talking loudly, apparently. The first category is vampire, and for this I chose The Hollow Sun by D.L. Wainwright, just because the main character, Lucy, kind of gets entered into a world where she finds out that vampires are real, and she is what's known as a non, which is a non-supernatural being, and she kind of has to find out what this world really is and if she really wants to be a part of it. This is a great read, and I look forward to reading the second book in this series. I might reread this book. I haven't 100% decided yet. So just for the pick of vampires, I would probably still go with The Hollow Sun, but just because I've read so many more books, because this video was filmed, I believe, in 2016. You can go to my YouTube page and still find this. I think it was filmed in 2016. However, let me just quickly get the book that, in all honesty, should be the only choice for vampires. And in my opinion, that is Bram Stoker's Dracula. This is actually a book I borrowed from my mother and completely forgot to give back. I also completely forgot to read it. So this is still on the list to be read, but I might just buy my own copy and return this back to my mom. But vampires, I would go with this. I would also, well, I do kind of want to go with Hunting Prince Dracula, just because it has Dracula in the name. However, I have not read this yet. It's the second book in this series, and I think the series is like 4 books long. But yeah, my number one pick for this one is going to be Dracula. It's a little on the nose, I know, but come on. You cannot beat the original vampire. Okay, let's see what the next category is. Werewolf. And for this I chose, if you don't already know, City of Bones, because there is a character in here who's a werewolf, and he's I was very much on the Mortal Instruments hype. Yeah, I really enjoyed this book, and I would highly recommend it. It is a wonderful, wonderful read, and you really do get to find out what the werewolves in this book are really like. Category is zombie. Okay, so before we go into zombies, for werewolf, I was very much in on the hype of Mortal Instruments when I chose City of Bones for that. But now looking at my books, this is also a little on the nose. However, this is a really good read. I did read it. It takes place after season 1, and that is On Fire, which is a Teen Wolf novel. It's based on the show. It takes place, actually no, it takes place towards the end of season 1. So what happens in this does not happen in the show. So this is like the reboot of Teen Wolf. It's not like what I believe Michael Jackson did, which was a movie. But yeah, this one I actually really enjoyed. I fled right through it. And this wasn't actually that expensive. I think I picked it up on Book Owl for maybe $5. It was really cheap, but I'm pretty sure I just said Book Owl. Book Outlet. You can get a lot of books for very cheap, along with Book Depository. So. Now this is kind of a spoiler if you guys have not read this book, because it is the 3rd book in this series, and that is The Death Cure. I'm not going to say anything about this because it is the 3rd book in the series, but it is, however, a really good read, and it does have quite a bit to do with zombie-like beings. So I would highly recommend reading this series, honestly. Category is Ghost. And for this, I chose... Oh. Wow. I was not paying attention. Okay, so just going to back up a bit back to zombie. Okay, so in all honesty, the whole zombie concept for the Maze Runner series was actually introduced into the first one. It just wasn't actually explained till the 2nd book, and you don't actually experience a lot of it until the 3rd book. So, like, regarding this original trilogy, James Dashner did a great job. I personally cannot read the prequel series, but I'll probably try like again later on down the road. I haven't fully decided what I'm going to do. However, for this one, mainly because of the cover, and I just want to make sure you guys can actually see this. Okay, good. Mainly for the cover, I'm going to go with Johnny Gruesome. I literally just picked this up last week, and I haven't read it yet, but this is a discarded book from a library, and the library was having a book sale, and I picked this up for like $1. It seems really interesting. I literally just picked it up, opened it to a random page, and read a chapter that gave no detail, but sounds super, super interesting. So, yeah, this is definitely an interest. This is something that definitely interests me, considering now we're kind of in the Halloween reading season. So I might end up just using a lot of like what I'm talking about for this video in the for my Halloween TBR. I haven't fully decided yet. If it's a book I've already read, probably not, but because I haven't read Johnny Gruesome or Dracula, I might read those. Okay, now let's go to the next topic. I would highly recommend reading this series, honestly. Category is Ghost, and for this I chose Anna Dressed in Blood because in the description it mentions that a main character in this is a ghost. I have not read this yet. It is on my TBR along with about 60 other books, but I am hoping to get to this duology soon. I have both books, so don't spoil me. Next. Okay, so my pick for Ghost has not really changed. Just trying to think, did I read anything else that has ghosts in it? Oh, no, wait, now I remember. Well, it's not like ghosts, but it's spirit, which if you go by the definition, is technically a form of ghost. So I did recently read this, even though this came out last year, year before. funnily enough, right next to my Anna Dressed in Blood book. But Paper Lanterns, which is book 3 of the Hollow Sun series, I really recommend people read this because it's getting better and better. The author is currently working on book 4, and I absolutely enjoy these series because they're a quick read, but the author does so much research to make sure everything's correct. So I would highly, highly, highly recommend this series. And they're like $15 a book, which isn't terrible considering she's something of an indie author. And it's I need to pull out the first book because they didn't put the genre. Okay, they didn't put the genre on the third book, but on the second, well, on the first and second book, these are modern dark fantasies. So they take place in present day, but they're very dark and they are a fantasy. So if you're in the mood for something for Halloween, yeah, check it out. Because like I think the longest a book is like 300 pages, but the author does such a good job like immersing everything into it and explaining. Just trying to put this book back for the next topic. Oh my god, everything's falling. Everything's falling. Hold on. Okay, and next category topic is witch, warlock, or spellcasters. And for this, I chose beautiful creatures because if you watch the movie like I did and have not read the book yet, you know that most of the magical beings are known to as spellcasters. So, yeah, I know it would be obvious to go with Harry Potter, but I'm in the middle of reading the series, so I'm not going to lift the book. Next. So, I did end up reading Beautiful Creatures. I actually did enjoy the first book. I will probably continue the series, either like for my Halloween reads or just continue the series in general because the first book was actually really, really good. However, I am going to do something slightly obvious, but not really. It is Harry Potter related. That's the only thing I'm going to say. Give me a moment. And literally because this has become one of my favorite wizarding movies ever, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them by J.K. Rowling. This is such an amazing read. I read this in like 12 hours. I had to actually get sleep at some point, and so I slept like in the middle of those 12 hours. But this was a super, super quick read. I have a couple points in this highlighted just because there were some things that were said that I just really enjoyed. So I made a point to mark it. But yeah, instead of going like straight to Harry Potter and wow, I was about to be a fake fan. Straight to Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, I'm gonna go with Fantastic Beasts because it is such a good movie. Okay, and next topic. This category is fairy/fae. And for this I chose, and this is another spoiler, for this I chose City of Ashes because there is a part in here that involves the fae community. So, yeah. Category is demon. Okay, for the fairy/fae category, that has not changed because I don't have anything else that has those categories. I mean, I read like a preview of Julie Kagawa's, I think it was Iron Fae series at the end of uh, the uh, the Immortal Rule. Is it Immortal Rule or okay? The Immortal Rules. Sorry, but I did not like it, so it's still going to be City of Bones, where the Fae realm is very present in both the story and, well, Well, it's very present in the story. I stopped watching the TV show because first few episodes did the books justice, but both the movie and the TV show did not do the books justice. The books are fantastic. They have so much more detail, but the way I'm viewing the series is they crammed everything and just jumped through all of these topics and stuff like that. Stuff that like gets explained in due time, not rushed. So, but that topic has not changed. And for this, I chose Clockwork Angel because I know there's a lot of automatons talked about in this, but there's also quite a few demons mentioned in this. And I mean, it opens with a demon being killed, so that works. Yeah, I'm actually going to change this one, which is, if I remember correctly, this is an answer further down in the video. And I'm changing it to Prophecy by Ellen O, because this is literally about a girl who can sniff out demons, can fight demons, and has learned several different ways on how to kill them and return them back to hell. So, yeah. That's just a no-brainer to me after rethinking like all of these answers. Like most of these I'm choosing while I'm watching, but it's like I did watch this video to make sure it'd be good quality to show you guys. There was a couple of them that's like, no, that's the wrong book for this topic. The one I did originally choose Prophecy for was definitely the wrong topic I chose it for. Oh my god. Have you ever had just an itchy nose no matter what you did? Okay, and let's go with the next topic, shall we? Next category is Angel, and for this I chose Hush Hush because it's about a fallen angel, which is still an angel, just a fallen angel. This is an amazing story about Patch and Nora, and how Nora suddenly gets thrown into kind of an ancient conflict with angels and Nephilims, and it is absolutely amazing, and I love this story. I have not continued the series. I do have it all. I might reread the first book just so I can remember certain aspects of it, but I haven't decided yet. However, for Angel, I'm just going to say Daughter of Smoke and Bones because there is an angel in here. You don't meet him right away, but there is an angel in here, so I'm just going to go with that. And this trilogy is phenomenal, massively well written. The second book, in my opinion, is a bit heavy, but like the storyline is heavy. All three of these books do have quite some weight to them because this one, yeah, this one's the shortest of them all. This is only 418 pages. The third book in this series, if I remember correctly, is close to 600 pages. So this is just one of those series where the storyline, there was a lot to add in that section of the storyline, so the book had to get bigger. Okay, and what was the next topic? Category is Alien, and this is kind of an obvious pick, but it's the only book I have with aliens in it that I know of. And that is The Fifth Wave, which I really do need to read at some point. I started reading this. I'm on chapter 5. I know it's about a girl named Cassie and alien invaders, but that's all I actually know about, so I should really get around to reading this. So, The Fifth Wave is still a change that it's still not something that's going to change because I'm still at chapter 5. I have not picked it up again. I probably should just grab the audiobook and listen to it, but that still remains to be the only it still remains to be the only alien book I have. And I'm so glad I switched over to live streaming rather than recording videos because, like, as you can tell, angling is horrible. Lighting is surprisingly okay, but my editing was just terrible. Alrighty, let's go. Think. Well, you can kind of see what the next topic is: superhuman. Final category is superhuman, and for this I chose prophecy, where the main character Kira has a supernatural ability that she can sense demons. I know I could have chosen this for the demon one as well, but I don't like repeating, so. But she is pretty kick-ass, she is very strong, and she is quite superhuman. I would highly recommend this, and I still need to pick up the next 2 books in this trilogy. So, regarding prophecy, I have picked up the last 2 books in the trilogy. I've read the second book, love it. We'll probably read the third book soon. However, just looking at my shelves, I have a couple books that would actually fit perfectly with this topic of superhuman. Just because there's virals. They're not like naturally superhuman, but Virals by Kathy Riches? Reaches? I think it's Riches. Alright. Virals is a very good young adult. It's almost a sci-fi. I think actually it is a sci-fi. I can't remember. But this is actually a very good read. It's about 4 teenagers that end up getting abilities because of something that is viral. That was only supposed to be contained into animals, but it spread into humans and gave them supernatural abilities. At the moment, I know that there's 5 books in the series. I do not know if there's more. But another book I could easily choose for this one, Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas, because it has an assassin in it. Like, it's all focused around an assassin who is surprisingly really, really good and is female. So that's not something you see often. It's also not something you would expect. And like what she's able to do, no, she's not human. Well, no, she is human. She's just very superhuman. And as I mentioned, we are skipping the outro to these videos because, well, the outros are just ridiculously loud, and for anyone wearing headphones, I'd rather not blow out your eardrums. Okay, so we're going to stop. Wondering which one to do next. I'm also trying to figure out what is going on with my chat box, because it's not showing anything. There we go. Now if anyone leaves a message, it should stay in the chat box longer. Okay, so I think the next thing we're going to do is, I think we're going to do 25 bookish facts about me, because I know a lot of them have changed, and we might do one more before I just go into what I'm planning on reading for this Halloween season. Hey guys, it's Tiffany of Tough Angel Books, and I miss my black hair. I've been debating if I want to go back or not, but I'm missing my black hair. Oh well. this will just have to be good enough for now. And for this video, I'm going to be doing 25 bookish facts about me. Number 1, I currently do not own any bookshelves of my own. Well, this one has changed. I now own 2 bookshelves, and if I get any books for my birthday for Christmas, or if I just buy books, as I will very likely do, I am going to need to buy another bookshelf, because the 2 bookshelves I do have are currently at its capacity. 2. I cannot read the Twilight books, and it's not for a lack of trying. I've tried. I think I'm just going to stick to the graphic novels. So, I think I have read book 1 and 2 with the audiobooks. They didn't continue the graphic novels. I think they stopped halfway through Eclipse, but the graphic novels are never finished. So, couldn't exactly continue with the graphic novels. Also, when I was reading the graphic novels, they were available at my library. I didn't own any, and it was my school library. So that was the only time I was able to read them, and by them I meant the first half of the first book. I have not been able to get my hands on the rest, which I might, just because the graphic novels I feel did a better job of telling the stories rather than the movies. But that's my opinion. I probably will read, I'll probably listen to the other 2 books in the series, but at this time I haven't decided yet. But I was able to listen to the audiobooks and read the physical book. Because the actual books, I cannot read. I have a published poetry ebook called Sad Truth, available on Amazon and iTunes. I'll try to leave an annotation somewhere on the screen and links in the description if you want to check those out. Well, I did have a published ebook, but I took it off the market. That was my choice because I self-published it. I took it off the market and am currently reworking the whole story because I want it to tell my story. So I'm adding poems, I'm removing poems, I'm massively editing some of the poems because English was apparently not my first language when I was writing half of these poems. So it's no longer available, but I am working on getting it redone and hopefully finding an actual publisher to publish it with. Haven't fully decided, but I'm definitely working on redoing my poetry book from start to finish, redoing the acknowledgments, definitely going to redo the cover because the original cover, in my opinion, well, it was a stock image I found that I just worked on. So I'm still working on the poetry book. I haven't decided if I'm going to like work on it on a live stream or not. I don't know. I think if I do work on it as a live stream, I'm going to be working on the order of it, not working on any actual poems. So, if you want to check it out. I hate books that go too deep into description because it leaves nothing to the imagination, and it's also why I will never write a novel. 5. Still true. My books that I've read list and my TBR list are actually about the same length. Yeah, that is definitely not the case anymore because I own roughly 100 books, and I think I've read, it would be way too nice to say half of them, because looking at most of these shelves, 30 to 40 of them, because a lot of the books I have read were ebooks, audiobooks, stuff like that. Number 6. I have only read the first Harry Potter book of the series. I have yet to read the other 6, and I'm hoping to do that this year at some point. Okay, so this video was definitely filmed like 4 years ago because I have not only completed the entire series, I have also read Cursed Child, The Hogwarts Library, the first 3 ebooks that Pottermore has released, I read Fantastic Beasts, Cursed Child. I'm missing Crimes of Grindelwald, and also the 4 ebooks that were just released, along with um, Hogwarts: A History and Hogwarts: A History Journey Through Magic, I believe. There was a couple other additions that got added to the Wizarding World. So I think all in all, I'm missing about 8 books of the Wizarding World to actually read. But for the most part, right now, I have read all 7 books in the original Harry Potter series. 7. I actually enjoyed the 50 Shades trilogy. I used to... Um, I honestly, I still do enjoy the 50 Shades trilogy just because in my head, all of the sex scenes and stuff like that doesn't matter, because even though everyone focuses is on Christian and his behavior and everything, it's also focusing on Anna, who is becoming stronger, more independent, and willing to say what she needs to say. So yes, there are some parts that aren't that great, but if you're only focusing on the negative parts, then of course the story is going to be negative. Of course no one's going to want to like it. I'm just making sure you can still see, because I know it's the sun. Oh, cool. So the backlight I have is still working great. Fantastic. Because I just noticed that the sun's like almost set completely. Not read at all. Like, there was a time when the thought of reading a book did not interest me at all, and still true. Now you can't get me to put a book down. 9. Very true. I like audiobooks and digital books because I can read them at night. 10. Okay. It's no longer just because I can read and listen to them at night. Sorry, my dog's whining right behind me. Ebooks, it's quick and easy for me to pick up during my lunch break at work, because another thing that's changed between the time of filming these videos and now is I switched jobs. So now I just go to one location instead of wherever we have to go to do our job. So I like ebooks because it's very easy for me to pick up and read during my lunch break, and audiobooks, depending on the story, definitely helps me get through my commute. Lately I've just been listening to music, but I've listened to the first 8 chapters of They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. So far it's a fantastic story, and it's the only book I've actually listened/read by Adam Silvera. I really should get the physical copy to own and read, but oh, I'm hoping that's actually working. No, my Discord link's not working. Sorry, Chaos. For some reason my Discord link is not working. I think when I had to reset everything, when I had to reset my computer and everything, that probably got lost when I had to reset everything. If I had my Discord app on my computer, I'd put it in the chat, but I think I could probably grab the link from my phone app. Hold on. I'm hoping I can. Can I share? No, I can't share. God dang it. But if you have Discord, it's Tough Angel Library. I'll just put it in the chat. Wow, I cannot spell. Rary. Oh, and thank you for joining the library, you Chaos. Welcome to the Bookish family. But yeah, I just put the title of my Discord in. For some reason, the link is not working. I will work on fixing that for the upcoming live streams, so it's not an issue. Okay, let's go find out what fact number 10 about me was 4 years ago. I love to read books in the car. I love reading on the road. 11. 10 is still true. I'm slightly obsessed with booktube videos. Especially Next Door Fangirl, A Book Utopia, Katie Tastic, Pullin' Banana Books, and Jessie the Reader. Those are like my 5 #1 obsessions. Oh, no, 6. Little Book Owl too. Like, I will link them down below. All 6 of those channels are still phenomenal. I have not, over the last year a lot has happened. So watching YouTube, Netflix, and stuff like that actually completely lost my interest for a while. But I was still paying for Netflix, still had YouTube and everything. It was only like before my last stream a couple months ago that I started getting back into watching booktube videos, getting back into watching YouTube videos in general, and just kind of getting back into the things I actually really enjoyed, aside from reading. That's a face to pause on. I just realized how I paused the video. God, I'm so happy I'm not that big anymore. They're amazing. 12. I have yet to watch Insurgent. After watching Divergent, I'm very hesitant to watch Insurgent. I have watched Insurgent. In my opinion, of the entire Divergent trilogy, Insurgent is the most accurate to the books. I have not watched Allegiant, well, the first half of Allegiant, because they're trying to either... Actually, I don't even think it's even up for debate anymore. There are no more... I don't think anyone wants to film the last movie because they started talking about turning the last half of the book into a TV show, and like all of the original actors were completely against it. Like, what's her name? Shailene Woodley was 100% against it because she signed up for movies, not for a TV series, because she had already spent like years doing a TV series and she didn't want to go back to that. I love the Shadowhunters TV show. I think it's doing the book justice. The movie was a total joke, but I think the TV shows are actually doing the book more justice. Yeah, the TV show did the books justice for about the first 3 episodes. If you've read the books or in the process of reading the books like I am, no. Because there's a lot that happens that they don't focus on or even think of or even like properly tell the storyline. Because for anyone who's watched the TV show or watched the movie, the Simon storyline is rushed. Like, the Simon storyline is massively rushed. Just to give you an idea on how not happy I am about that. 14. All the books I have read are in piles in my room. 15. All the books I have yet to read are in piles next to my desk. For both of these, the whole reason why I let them play is all of my read and unread books are now on shelves. I know which ones I have read. I know which ones I have not read. I've been thinking of doing a sticky thing where you can put a sticky on the books you have read so that way you don't end up rereading them. 16. I can only read books when I'm listening to music. It's weird, but I find it's easy for me to focus on the book when I have music playing. 7. Not true anymore. I can now read whenever, wherever I want. However, if I am reading a physical book on my commute to work, I need to pay attention to my stops, because I was reading to work once and I missed my stop and ended up having to walk a bit longer to work than expected. 18. I cannot read if the TV is on. I don't care if there's a video game playing or it's music playing. If the TV is on, I cannot read. I can now read with video games, movies, and TV. Like, if it's playing, whatever, it'll become background noise unless it's something that interests me. which does not happen often because most of the time if it's playing in the background while I'm reading, that is because it's something I've already watched. It's weird, but I find it's way too distracting. 18. I published a short story ebook called Trusting Sugar. Not that big of a deal, and well, I like the way it turned out, and so that's why I published it. If you guys want to check it out, I will link that in the description as well. So I'm still standing with I will never write a novel, just because, like, this short story I wrote, I can't remember how many pages long it was. It was up and available. I did remove it as well. I actually am planning on adding it to the end of my poetry book if I can find the story. I think I have a printed version so I could retype it, no issues. But at this time, there's just like, there's nothing to really. Why am I losing my train of thought? Well, I'm losing my train of thought. Yeah, I took both of my ebooks off the market because there was stuff about them that I needed to change, and there was stuff that I was not too happy about regarding the storylines and regarding just my wording in general. So they're both off the market. I am currently working on them, and as I said earlier, if you've been watching this from the start, I am going to be seeking out an actual publisher to get my books properly published. 19. I hate lending out my books. 20. I'm not a fast reader, but I'm not a... Yeah, I still hate lending out my books, and yet I still have one of my mother's books. Yeah, I'm a hypocrite. I really should return my mom's book. Slow reader either. I can usually read about 300 pages in a day if I actually sit down and read. That's actually changed. I've been able to read more lately. If I actually sit down and read, I can read anywhere between 400 to 600 pages in a day. But I have a dog and a cat to take care of, so being able to actually sit down and read is not really an option. Just to give you an idea. 21. My current favorite books are Perks of Being a Wallflower and The Hollow Sun. I cannot wait for Fractured Masks to come out. 22. I actually prefer paperback books to hardcover books, which is a little ironic considering like most of my books are hardcover. I actually do not have a preference anymore. About 50% of my books are paperback and 50% of my books are hardcover. I enjoy them both. It's more when the cover is mixed match that I get a little irked and annoyed because there's like 3 books I'm considering just repurchasing because the covers do not match. 23. I actually hope to be a well-known poet one day. So 24. I find that a lot of booktubers actually want to do this. I don't. I don't want to write a novel. I can't spend that much time on one thing. It's kind of why I prefer poetry. Number 25. I'm addicted to buying bookmarks. I think I'm on the verge of having more bookmarks than I do books. I'm gonna have to start assigning bookmarks to books. Alright. So, I actually... So, I'm actually just gonna see if I can skip ahead. Until next time, happy reading. Yeah, so these are just a few of my bookmarks. I think I actually did a bookmark video. However, this is only a portion of my actual bookmarks. I still have like these tag bookmarks that were made for me. They just need to get resealed. But I have a lot more than this now. Guys, it's Tiffany of Tough Angel Books. I forgot I have a playlist. I forgot about that. But yeah, The 25 bookish facts about me have definitely changed a lot, but then again, like I said earlier, it was filmed like 4 years ago. So the fact that it's changed that much in that much time is like, well, it's great for me, but however, some of them my explanation just did not make sense. Like the whole paperbacks over hardcovers doesn't actually make sense because paperbacks are more fussy to keep open than hardcovers. Meanwhile, unless you sit at like an office like I do, I just use the monitor to keep my paperback open. Alright, I'm going to take a like quick 5 minutes to get like water and stuff. I'll be right back. One thing I am going to start doing, especially during my live streams, is if you want to promote yourself, when you see the Be Right Back screen, go ahead and promote your YouTube channel, your Twitch channel, Instagram, Twitter, whatever. I will be back in about 5 minutes, so back shortly. Wow, that was in the wrong place. Alrighty. I will be back in about 5 minutes. Alrighty, I'm back. I don't actually know if that was 5 minutes or not. I literally just went to get water, and that was it. Sorry, my dog's in the background. I haven't figured out how to set up the pet cam yet, so need to get like a tripod or something for that. So the next video we're gonna watch, and probably the last video for this stream, I do have 2 more that I'll probably save for another stream, but this one is the reader problem book tag. Wow, I have so many colors in my hair. Like, yeah, I have a lot of color in my hair now because I have like green, blonde, and pink. That's from like last October. But yeah, so as you can tell with my hair here, my hair was starting to go back to the natural color, but everything had to grow out first. But yeah, let's watch this and let's see if any of my answers have changed, which I have a feeling some of them have. Hey guys, it's Tiffany of Tough Angel Books, and for this week's video I'm going to be doing the Reader Problems book tag. It is a tag that has 11 questions to answer, and it all kind of tackles pretty difficult and annoying reader problems. So let's get started. Question 1. You have 2,000 books in your TBR that you have yet to read. Pretty close. How in the world do you decide what to read next? Honestly, if I'm honestly stumped on what to decide to read next, I'll either go to a book that I've DNF'd, or I'll go to a book that I've read before, and if neither of them interest me, I'll grab a book I have yet to read. So it all depends on the mood I'm in and if what I pick up to read is interesting or not. Question 2. You're halfway through a book and you're just not loving it. Okay, so one, I have an app to show you guys for that, but I just realized that there's terminology that I use in this. It's like, 1, throw the ball on the ground, turn off the lights, literally stumble upon a new story. Hey, Octavia. Oh, wow. Yeah, that would, that's one way to do it, but it's also a fast way of destroying your very beautiful books. No, I actually have an app I use now. Just gonna see if I can pull it up. Just gonna quickly clear that. But the app is called, I have ebooks. This is no concern of mine. Yeah. I have an app called Decision Roulette. Not sure how well you guys are going to see this, but you can make roulette wheels. So I have like very quick choices. I actually need to remove one of the titles from that choice. And then I have like actual books that have been sitting on my shelf for who knows how long that I have not read yet. But this has helped me find like great reads, my next read and stuff like that. So that's what I now use to choose my next read. Or like, especially since like Christmas is coming up after the Halloween season, I have 2 books that I am going to reread for the Christmas season because they're just really good books. Okay. You're halfway through a book and you're not loving it. Do you quit or commit to reading it? Do you quit it or are you committed to reading it? Personally, it depends on how much I'm not liking it. There is a book, I have tried reading it 3 times, could not get past chapter 6, I believe, and I've completely DNF'd it. It completely depends on how much I'm not liking it. If it's just one character, I'm committed. If it's the entire storyline and it's a bit too bouncy for me, I'll just quit the entire book. Question. Okay, so before we go into question 3, so the book I was referencing was actually a book called Glow, which the description was space Romeo and Juliet, which would have been fine, except I literally got to like chapter 4 or 6 every single time I tried to read it and then had to put it down. I just could not continue reading it. But I'm currently having that issue with a book I'm currently reading. Pretty cover, I know. This is The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. I'm almost 100 pages into this. This is supposed to be a story about clairvoyance and stuff like that. I'm literally going to get to page 100 before I decide if I'm going to continue the story or not, because the main character is driving me nuts. Because, like, if anyone's either watched the movies or read the books, with Harry Potter, he has this mindset because he can't see outside of it because of everything that has happened to him, which makes sense. But he has this mindset of he's the only one that can save the world. The main character in this book has the mindset of I have to be the only person that changes everything. I've tried to read They Both Die in several times. Now, whenever... Hold on. It just seems whenever I get near Act 3, life stuff acts up, and I stop reading. Oh, real life stuff act up. I think I'm misunderstanding what you're writing, Octavia. But so, I'm up to chapter 8 of They Both Die at the End, but I'm also listening to the audiobook on my commute to and from work, when I actually take the bus from work. So, which I will be doing this week, so I should be able to get more I miss writing and you're missing. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, so far I'm enjoying They Both Die at the End. I'm up to chapter 8, but as I said, I'm listening to it by audiobook, so that's probably why it's not affecting me. Oh, you've read the opening? The opening of They Both Die at the End, I'm at chapter 8. Bone Season, I'm almost at chapter 100. So, I haven't continued They Both Die at the End, but, one of the characters... Actually, no, both of the characters are kind of annoying. I hope they, can we just briefly discuss the brilliant metaphor of the exit sign? I don't think I've gotten to that part yet. Or maybe I'm not remembering that part. I'm assuming you're talking about They Both Die at the End, because that's the one book you brought up in the chat. You are a pain in the butt, Mercury. Sorry, my dog's right next to me. Discuss the brilliant metaphor of the exit sign. I don't remember that being brought up, but just in general, the exit sign is just like in real life, the exit sign is just a brilliant metaphor no matter what situation you're in. Okay, let us know when you get back, Octavia. But yeah, if I'm really not enjoying a book, I'm not going to finish reading it. The last book I kind of forced myself to read was The Kill Order. I'm going to try and reread it at a later time. I think I was just in a bad headspace for that story. Just right now, I'm not a fan of it. Okay, question 3. Question 3. The end of the year is coming. You're so close, but so far from your Goodreads challenge. Do you try to catch up, and how? Well, this year, I'm actually 5 books away from completing the challenge. I don't know how I'm going to complete it. There is the Booktubeathon holiday readathon going on at the end of this month, so I might actually be able to finish it in the last 3 days of this year.
I do not know yet. Question number 4. Covers of a series.
So regarding my Goodreads reading challenge, I have, at this time, I have changed my reading goal 4 times. I originally started my reading goal at 25 books. I've now bumped it to 35 books. I was just talking about my reading goal because just going to back up enough for you to, yeah, that's question 3. That face though. That face though. Anyway, the my Goodreads reading challenge, I've changed 4 times now. I'm now up to 35 books. I'm at, I believe, 28 books out of 35 right now. And like, I have 4 books that I'm planning on reading because today is September 1st, so I'm probably going to start reading one of the 4 books tonight after this live stream. I haven't fully decided yet what I'm doing yet. But this is probably the first time in years I've had to change my Goodreads reading goal so often. And like the last time I changed it, even Goodreads replied to my tweet saying that the fact that I was changing it already actually put a smile on their face, and it put a smile on my face as well, because it has been a very long time since I've read this much in 1 year. I apologize for the whining. My dog really wants attention. Come here. And dishes my murky butt. She keeps wanting attention, so I'm hoping this will do. What, you don't want to be on camera? She's not hurt. My bed's right behind me. We're good. Okay, so let's go to question 4.
No yet. Question number 4. Covers of a series you love do not match. How do you cope?
Okay, hold on. The brilliance of the exit sign in the beginning. When Rufus, I think that's his name, gets the desk cat call, he backs away from an exit sign with a red light. He mentions that this is because he doesn't want to be seen by people after getting into a fight. But if we look into this, it's clear that the exit sign is a metaphor for death itself, an exit to his life. Notice how the first appearance when the call sets in his mind. Yeah, that's actually a very good point, because like both characters getting that call is like, their reactions are very similar to how I would react if I were to get a call from Deathcast. But yeah, no, that is a really brilliant metaphor, because like he's trying to get away with it. He's trying to get away from death, but at the same time knows that it's not possible. And like, this is in the beginning of the book, so anyone who has not read They Both Die at the End, you're not getting spoiled. It's at the beginning of the book, and it is just a brilliant, brilliant metaphor. Like, Octavia has it right. It is a brilliant metaphor, and the way it was placed and worded, it works out perfectly for the situation. So yeah, let's get on to this next one. The covers of a series you love do not match. Oh my god. The fact that it is a red light shows very presence in his mind at the moment. It's glowing, and he says to himself, it's attention grabbing. Yeah, because I'm pretty sure anyone who gets a call from Deathcast it's all they think about. Okay, I'm gonna get back to this video, okay, Octavia? Like, I love talking about books, it's just right now I'm doing a then and now stream, where this video is, I want to do things like that. Yeah, well, it's definitely something to actually grasp. Okay, Well, oh, okay, well, you do you then. Oh, trust me, I'm essentially turning my entire streaming channel to a book talk channel where we talk about books, bookish related things, and I'm actually thinking of signing up for a subscription service that I have not decided yet because it'll be anywhere between $25 to $35 a month with currency changes. This question: the covers of a series you love do not match. How do you cope?
I'm still not coping because one of a trilogy I absolutely love, even though I still need to read the last book, is the Blood of Eden trilogy. I have the original cover for the Immortal Rules, and I have the new covers, and I have the new cover for the Eternity Cure. It's hard, but I live with it because it's a book on my shelf and I really enjoyed it, so I'm not going to focus on the fact that they don't match. Even though as soon as I get the chance, I want to get the matching cover.
I have more than just one series that the covers do not match. And Octavia, if you want to continue this book conversation, go find my Discord, which is Tough Angel Library, and we can talk endlessly about books there. It's just I actually have a plan for this stream, so that's the only reason why I'm turning it down. Anyway, as for the Blood of Eden trilogy, um, I I finally purchased the third book. I still have to read this. It's still brand new, but this is the original cover. This is the original cover of the first book. Then you have the second book and the third book. The second and third book match. The first one does not. I may actually go hunting for the cover change for the first book just to complete the set. The only thing I kind of wish is I could remove this kind of embedded sticker, but I can't because, as I mentioned, it's embedded. And there is another series I have that does not match that actually drives me nuts, and I might actually buy the replacements. And I showed it earlier in this stream. I am only going to be showing 3 of the 5 books I have, but it is the Virals series. These are the original covers. This is the new cover. So not only is the cover bigger, but it is very, very different. And they even have the new covers on the back for the first 2 books. This is very annoying. I probably will look into getting the new covers for the first 2 books. I also am thinking of rereading this entire series as well and seeing if there's any further books in this series. Ugh, I hate when you get an itchy nose.
And I just put the one I have aside. For 5, everyone and their mother absolutely loves a book you really don't like. Who do you bond with over shared feelings? I also don't know, because a lot of the books that most people like, I do like. But in the rare event that it is something I do not like, I tend to just kind of leave it be. And I also just kind of tend to not bother seeking someone out because of a negative thing. I'm going to go find someone to bond over a book with. It's going to be a book I love, not so much one I did not like.
Yeah, that still stands with me, but I'm also at the point of I don't care what your opinion on this book is. I have mine, you have yours, let's go with that. I did used to do a lot of book talks on my booktube channel, and there was one book talk I did. It was actually a sampler of a book, and everything I had to say about that book was negative. And I actually hate the fact that I even posted it. I might actually remove it from my channel or just leave it up as an example. I'm not a fan of negativity. I'm not a fan of people bringing negative energy to what should be a positive space. I mean, reading is a very encouraging thing to do because it allows everyone's imaginations to just go. It allows everyone's um, interests to grow, and it's one of reading something that I definitely do love, but it's also not something I'm going to force everyone and anyone to do. Just like I'm not going to force everyone and anyone to love a book I love or to hate a book I don't like. Because that's not fair to myself to do, and it's not fair to do to others, because in my opinion it's not the greatest book. Like right now, in my opinion, The Kill Order is not the greatest book, but it could have just been my mindset at the time of reading the book.
Number 6, you're reading a book and you're about to cry in public. How do you deal with this? I have done this twice, and I just simply I've done it while listening to an audiobook and actually sitting and reading a book, and all I've done is just turn my head and look out the window very intensely so no one sees I'm crying. I've gotten that down packed, but the only times I actually read in public is when I'm in the company van going to work.
I actually do read in public now. I'll go to coffee shop, park, whatever, and I'll read in public. Um, after, aside from those 2 times, I've never had the urge to cry in public. So that it's definitely interesting that that number has not changed. But there has been a lot of like emotional books I have read that like I'm able to kind of compartmentalize the whole crying part until I get home. And that's even if it affects me that much, because like I recently read Heartless and there were some points where it really did affect me, but it didn't affect me to the point of crying. So, things change, people change, everything moves forward.
So, number 7. That's 8. Question number 7. The sequel of a the the sequel of a book you loved just came out, but you've forgotten everything that happened in the prior novel. Not likely. Will you reread the book, skip the sequel, try to find the synopsis on Goodreads? What do you do? Personally, I've never had this issue. Mainly because I have this weird thing where I'll like start reading and then I'll actually remember everything that happened in the prior book. It's just the way my brain works. It's weird. It's not an eidetic memory, but it's a very functioning memory to the point of I don't actually have to worry about rereading the first book to know what happens in the second book.
Okay, so I kind of over exaggerated my memory. There are a lot of books that um, there's like years between reading them, like the Harry Potter series. It took me 4 years to read the entire series, and that was most of the time I was not in the mood to read. But when I went to the next book, I didn't need to reread the previous book or anything, or even rewatch the movie, because I had everything in my head. I didn't have everything, but I had like the main storyline of the previous book in my head, so I was able to use what I do remember from the previous book and go into the next book. So, like, it's a bit of an exaggeration of, oh, I don't need to worry about that. For the most part, I do not. There are some books like Hush Hush that I probably should reread before I read the next book, because it's been about 10 years since I read Hush Hush, and I've only had the series for 4 years. So it's definitely on the list of books I need to read, but that is probably like one scenario where rereading the book would actually be better than finding a synopsis or recap or whatever.
8. You don't want anyone borrowing your books. How do you politely tell them no? How do you politely tell them no when they ask? I don't bother with being polite. I will just straight up say no. My sisters are the number one people to borrow books from me, and it's gotten to the point where I actually stopped lending it to them because I would not see the books for months, even if they have not yet read it or have read it and forgot about it. If I haven't seen the book in months, you're just giving me reasons not to lend you a book ever again. And that's just with my sisters. I don't like lending books.
So this is still true. However, I mentioned this like 2-3 times. I'm a hypocrite when it comes to borrowing. I do not let anyone borrow my books. However, I've mentioned like 2-3 times now. I borrowed a book from my mother and keep forgetting to give it back to her. So I think I will just end up buying my own copy of the book and return her copy back to her. But I'll probably return it to her before I buy my own copy or something. I haven't decided yet.
Number 9. Reading ADD. You've picked up and put down 5 different books in the last month. How do you get over your reading slump? That's a good question. I've always kind of been, slowly try to read. Like, my last reading slump caused me to take 2.5 months to read Goblet of Fire. And the only reason I was able to get through it was I would actually pick it up and read like as many pages as I could until I lost interest in reading, which would be usually between 3 pages to a full chapter. So it varies a lot. 10. There are books.
That still works for me. Whenever I have a reading slump, I'll pick up the book that I hit the reading slump with, and I'll just look at, like, I'll read as many pages as I can until my reading slump kind of comes back up and goes, oh no, you don't want to read. But I've still made progress in my book, even though it didn't really last, I guess would be the best way to say it. So, like, I don't know. Reading slumps definitely varies on per person. So for me, a reading slump, like for me to get through it, is to slowly read. And I don't mean like take an hour to read a page. I more mean I'll take time to just sit, even if it's 5 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever. I'll take time to just sit and read my book. And if I make progress, great. If I don't, I'll try the next day.
Books coming out you want to read. How many of them do you actually buy? On average, 0.
True.
I can't, I don't remember how many books I have on my to read each shelf on Goodreads, but I know that there's a lot of books I've said, oh, I want to read that. I've never read them. So honestly, it's 0 for me. I don't actually, I try not to buy that many books because, well, a lot of the time they get gifted to me, but I don't really buy, I sound like a bad person by saying I don't buy books often. I really want to get through the books I have now before I buy more books. I was half and half with that. Now I think it's a 4-to-6 ratio. Like 4 parts read, 6 parts unread. So need to work on that.
So the read to unread ratio still works. The only book I have ever pre-ordered was Carve the Mark by Veronica Roth. And the only reason I ever pre-ordered this book was because when you pre-order this and email the receipt to HarperCollins, you got We Can Be Mended, which is kind of the final epilogue of the Divergent series. which is just, it takes place, I think, about a year or two after, or a couple months after Legion. I really enjoyed this, but this was the only book I had ever pre-ordered, and that was just so I could get this. I have considered pre-ordering books. I'm not gonna lie about that. I have considered pre-ordering books, but at the same time, um, I don't know what's gonna happen between the time I pre-order to the time I get the book. I don't know if something's gonna happen. I don't know if I'm gonna lose interest, so I just don't pre-order books unless I've learned more about the book and it actually catches my interest.
Number 11. You just bought a brand new book that you want to get reading. How long does it sit on your shelf before you read it? To be honest, it depends on the book I just bought. If it's a book in a series that I haven't gotten up to that point yet, it'll wait till I read up to that point. If it's a standalone, usually within a few weeks I'll get to it, but it really depends on what book I bought sometimes, because like there's a lot of books, like brand new books that I bought that I have not read yet. I need to fix this. I just don't know how. That is it.
Well, that's a good thing. That was the last question. So I don't. Lately, I have not been buying that many new books. Like, and like that's not a lie. I have not bought that many new books. I think in the last year I bought maybe 7 or 8, maybe a bit more than that. There was one book I got that was free because I won a contest. But yeah, no, I don't buy books often. I I am very much in the habit of, like, I'm trying to be in the habit of read most of what you have and then buy a new book. That's pretty much my mindset regarding that right now. So yeah, this is the end of that. Why is my chat thing just not cooperating with me? And of course my follower count is not working. Of course. There we go. Much better. So for the time being, that's gonna be the last video like we watch. Just cause like I've already been streaming for almost an hour and 40 minutes, and we watched 3 videos where I paused and broke down all of my thoughts and everything. I do have 2 more videos that I'm probably going to save for another live stream. I haven't decided when I'm going to live stream yet, but you can follow me on Twitter to know when that's going to happen, which my Twitter is Tough Angel Books. I'm pretty much Tough Angel Books everywhere, Twitter, Instagram, and Discord. You can find my Discord by searching Tough Angel Library. And I think the only thing I was going to bring up was what I was planning on reading. And the only things I'm really planning on reading right now is there's 4 new Wizarding World books that are out. My tablet's taking its sweet time to load. Come on. Opening my Kindle app. It's probably going to open in the middle of the graphic novel I was reading. Because one of the books I am currently reading, aside from listening to They Both Die at the End, I'm trying to read The Bolton season. But no, what I am planning on reading, and go to download it. It doesn't really matter. I don't know if I can make these bigger or not. I'm trying to find a way for you guys to for most recent title. Will this work? Yeah, it kind of works. Oh, this works better. This works much better. So these are the books I'm planning on reading. They're the new Harry Potter releases. So you have these three. Sorry, I'm literally obstructing my view from the webcam trying to do this. So you have those three. And then you have the last one right here. Because September 1st is the start of the Wizarding school year, I am probably going to start reading those 4 books tonight. I just haven't, I haven't fully decided if I'm going to read it tonight or if I'm going to read it, or if I'm going to start reading it tomorrow. Because classes usually start the day after the school year starts. Anyway, so that is my live stream for today. Thank you everyone for joining, and for Octavia and Chaos for chatting with me this stream. Thank you to Chaos 3003 for joining our wonderful library. I'll try to get the commands working for the next stream. I don't know why they're not working, but I will definitely work on that. And until next stream, follow me on Twitter to know when I'm going to stream again. And for the rest of this evening, I hope you all have a wonderful evening. If you guys do not know, I take my live streams and I put them on my YouTube channel. So if you go to YouTube and search Tough Angel Books, you should be able to find my YouTube channel, and you can rewatch this live stream as many times as you want, if you want to. Thank you all for joining this live stream. Thank you for chatting with me. I know I'm repeating myself, but I do genuinely appreciate it, and I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful evening.